Oh, wow. Alright. I look horrible right now because I'm summer. But anyways, I didn't read the whole posting, but I keep seeing the same kind of help in the Occupy movement of feeding the homeless. And so I'm going to rant. When I was with Occupy Boston, I tried to speak up for the homeless and bring up the issues that were facing the homeless, and one of the problems the homeless didn't have was access to food. They get in Boston. Oops, what's that? Huh? Okay. Something totally different. Anyways, the homeless in Boston, in the shelter system, get about $200 in food stamps. So they generally don't need that kind of assistance, food assistance. What they do with the money, their food stamp money, is not your business. If they spend it on themselves or they do something else. There are so many programs out there to feed the homeless. And I know not every state has the same amount of access for such things. So my thing is that if any Occupy movement in any city wants to do anything for the homeless, they need to really research on what exactly the homeless needs, and focus on that aspect of it. And really, it's a chicken ass move. It's a chicken shit move to just feed the homeless. It's easy and less complicated, and you don't have to face very many regulations or you think you're helping and you're not. My friend Mark Harvoth has has been homeless himself. You can look him up on Twitter as Hardly Normal. And he has been a contributor to Huffington Post Impact. And one of the things that he has said, and I'm sure other advocates will say, is that when people start feeding the homeless without regulation, they could be actually harming than doing good. Because not only do you have people with allergies, you also have other people with complicated medical histories, such as diabetes. And some of these places that do already provide food for the homeless also provide them with medical care and services and get them access to health services. So again, I think a lot of it is just, so you're taking the easy way out of doing something good to make yourself feel better when you need to do more. And the biggest problem that the homeless have is housing. A lot of the funding, federal funding, like with this current sequester, a lot of the funding that gets homeless out, off the streets or out of shelters has been cut because they're the ones that get the cut first, not the middle class. Middle class, it's like it is a trickle up economy. And I was constantly in a fight with people in Occupy Boston, and the reason I left and have kind of distanced myself is because they didn't want the homeless there. And a lot of the attitude was, you should be grateful that we're feeding you and letting you sleep here. Dewey Square was a place that the homeless were sleeping in way before you rich, bitchy white kids showed up, and a lot of you weren't, able to vote 12 years ago, so you should be the ones that should be, grateful to us to educate you on the world, and instead they acted like it was the other way around. And I just think that it's sad that the attitude continues to prevail in the Occupy movement, that it's discrimination of the homeless. It's an attitude that they've done something to themselves to become homeless. And there are people that were within the Occupy movement that chose to leave jobs and become fashionably homeless. It's a real insult to the people who have no control over that in their lives. And the fashionably homeless had somewhere to go. So, and it was my biggest gripe, and it will always be my gripe. I'm housed now, and I'm like so grateful that I'm housed. But if the sequester keeps going on, and the sequester isn't Obama's fault, you know, I wish some of the people that were in the Occupy movement really had a reality check. So many of them would not work with activists that have been working in certain social issues for the last 50 years. They thought they needed to reinvent the wheel because obviously these issues weren't coming up and being fixed. And so they took up other issues and missions that, again, was a sort of, cheating. And the way I feel is that if you can't take up causes in your own backyard, and instead you pick causes that don't have direct effect to your own community, you're just living in your four walls, and you're not engaging with your own community, and it's austerity. The same austerity you're sitting there fighting against, and you're acting the same way to your neighbor and the person sitting on the corner that begging for some change so he can get something to drink or a cup of coffee, something to eat, or to feed their alcohol habit. Once you donate that money, it's not yours anymore. And so when you choose to give someone begging money, you can't judge what they do with it. And that's the problem with this country. And a lot of people who give, you give with conditions, and it's wrong. And that's austerity. That's exactly what you're sitting here fighting for. But you know what? Or fighting against. But to fight only your cause, what you believe is your cause, is exactly the opposite of what you... I can't come up with the words, but I probably have said it already, but it's just... It irritates me to no end when I see repeating of the same kind of charity going out by other movements, and I'm connected with a lot of different organizations through Twitter and Facebook that help low income and the homeless, and when I see Occupies trying to do the same thing, then I know they're not working with their own community to help. They're not. They're trying to reinvent something that's already there. Instead of trying to reinvent, why don't you improve it? And and this goes out to the environmentalists too. you go out and you fight against, honest fights, but you won't even pick up the trash in your own backyard. And the trash in your own backyard is the homeless who do trash your community. I know this because I lived in a shelter in an area that was trash, trash, trash everywhere from the homeless. I have too much respect for my town and for myself and for the environment to trash things. But when you can't, if you're not homeless and you haven't been in that experience, you can't sit there and judge. So grow some balls and actually do some actions in your own community instead of running away and trying to save something that's bigger than you. Not saying that it's not worthy of the fight. It's just cheating. You're cheating your own community, and it's why so many people who are racist, and who believe in us becoming more isolationist, you give them a reason to say, look, see? You give them a reason, and you give them fuel to their fire of their hatred when you won't even work in your own community. And the work that you do in your own community is nothing. Nothing.